Okay, we're going to start with part 2, perfectionism, of the 2 shields. First one was foreboding joy. That's what we covered that last time. This time is perfectionism, and that's the other great, huge shield that protects us, or at least we think it protects us, from shame. Actually, we're thinking that it protects us from criticism and judgment and so forth. So if I can be perfect enough, then I won't experience the pain of judgment, criticism, and so forth, and shame. So I try to have this shield, or we try to have this shield of perfectionism. Now, perfection is that endless pursuit of being enough. I think that if there's one of the messages deep within us that I'm not enough, then it doesn't matter how I measure. My measuring tape or stick or whatever else has no tick marks on it. There's no way for me to measure, am I enough? And so bottom line is that I was looking around for my ruler. I had a little ruler I used sometimes, but it's the same as this tape measure, is that bottom line, with this tape measure, we measure everything we do. We measure what we make. We measure how we look. We measure, how strong we are, how beautiful we are, how we measure. And this constant pursuit of being enough, because if we were enough, or we could get it perfect enough, then we could avoid being judged or criticized or shamed. Now, it could be around money. If I made enough money. Now, those of us who don't measure up and we're not enough, then most of us who don't feel like we're enough, one of the messages in us is that I'm not enough, then I don't make enough. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I don't know is that I don't know when I have worked enough. Someone says, have you done enough? I mean, that to me was like a calf looking at a new gate. I mean, I had no clue what you were talking about. What is enough? I don't know that there's enough. I go to bed at night whipped because I wasn't sure I'd gotten enough done, but I couldn't go any longer. I wake up in the morning, feel like I hadn't slept enough, and there's no way I'll get enough done the next day. There's never enough. I live in this universe of scarcity. Now, that kind of thinking is like this, and it's like, you're never enough. You're never measuring up. You're not perfect enough. Now, it could be around strong enough. How strong am I? Now, if we were enough, then we would not have been whatever. That comes from way back. That when we were children, when we were young, that if I'd been good enough, or if I'd been smart enough, if I'd worked hard enough, if I'd pleased my parents enough, they wouldn't have abused me, or they wouldn't have beat me, or they wouldn't have hurt me, they wouldn't have left me, they wouldn't have died, whatever. If we could only make enough, to make up the difference in the poverty we maybe grew up in, or if we were only beautiful enough, we wouldn't have been rejected or abandoned or hurt. Whatever it is, our answer is that the problem that these things that happened to us were because we didn't measure up. So we're in this constant pursuit. So we live in a universe that communicates that there's not enough. We don't have enough. We don't make enough. We don't own enough. We don't have enough stuff. That is our universe. And we generally will start every day feeling that we didn't get enough sleep. We end our day feeling like we haven't done enough. We haven't accomplished enough. We haven't been productive enough. And there's more self-help programs and diagrams and all kinds of stuff out there, time management stuff, so you can do more in a shorter period of time. Because we're obsessed with trying to do enough. Now, we're trying to measure up. The sad thing is that you see in this ruler, they have tick marks. On ours, the soul, the subconscious doesn't have the tick marks. We don't know that we've ever measured up. So there's a little boy inside constantly trying to measure up, and we don't. We think that if we can do it all perfect, I could avoid being judged, blamed, and criticized. And so we push and we shove those around us and everybody else in our universe to constantly be perfect enough. It doesn't work. A few facts about perfectionism I want you to know. I challenge you to think about. If you expect perfectionism in others, then you will also do it in yourself. If you expect your personal universe and those in it to be perfect before you ever trust again, you're going to never trust ever. And if you, without the willingness to lean into vulnerability, you will never experience joy. It's not a choice of living in a perfect universe and then you'll have joy. Well, meaning, joy, fulfillment, wholeheartedness. That's not going to happen. Because you see, in the world and the universe of vulnerability, there is no perfection. It doesn't exist there. It's process. In the world of perfection, there is no vulnerability because there's no true perfect. If you equate perfectionism to earning trust, you'll be sadly left with never having trusted in a relationship. You'll never have it. Because if you're going to say somebody's got to get it perfect before I trust them, nobody gets it perfect. If you expect perfectionism to simply hiding from showing up and being vulnerable, then let's say that. Expecting perfectionism is simply hiding from showing up and being vulnerable. In other words, it's like those two universes I was talking about. You're going to be in one or the other. You can't be both. It's not going to happen. And then results of never experiencing joy is perfectionism. Perfect. Voltaire, you might disagree with a lot of things that he said and he's written about. One thing he said that I think is correct. Perfectionism is the enemy of good. Sometimes we just don't stop with good. We continue to pursue perfect and never experience joy. How do I let go of perfectionism? Accept that life will not be perfect, nor people in my life, including me. It's just a fact of life. We're not going to be there. Accept that I'm in process and that I'm moving towards an objective, which is intimacy. I want to be a show-up person. I want to learn to stay at the show-up place more often than not. I want to learn to lean into joy. I want to be wholehearted. I want to live in this vulnerable place. I want to be comfortable enough to recognize my fear of being in that vulnerable place, and no guarantees, and be okay with that. And I don't want to run around the barnyard looking up to see if the sky's going to fall. I want to live life. Now, one way to do that for me is to go vertical. Whether it's in a place of worship or it's in meditation, visualization, whatever it is you do in your journaling, go vertical and find out what your higher power says about you. Some of the most incredible sermons I ever heard preached was 2 or 3 or 4 words that I felt I heard or connected with in my higher power that was incredibly healing. Maybe it's just spending time in nature, going to a place where it's for you, your safe place. A place where you can connect with God, connect with nature, connect with your spirit, that you just get away from the cell phones and everything else out there and just connect and to listen, to hear God speak, to hear the truth about yourself, to connect, to see you as part of a bigger whole, to lean into joy, to be vulnerable. That's the end of part 2.